of owning a cafe and other heroic deeds by Beware the Chisterer. Chapter 55, What It Takes to Be a Hero. As Thursday afternoons went, this had to be the most goddamn emotional one he'd ever experienced, and given his current life, that was probably saying something.
I could never have hoped for more, Tombergood.
Watching as the decayed quirk user was wrapped up in those impossible arms, his face flushed with embarrassment, bewilderment, and not that the team would admit it, he was sure, fondness. Shouta had stood with Dabi under his arm whilst Gigi, clearly jealous, grumbled in the scarred teen's gentle hold, the pair of them finally relaxing. He didn't drink, but he could do with something to settle his nerves. Caffeine, the rational part of his mind reasoned, was not the answer either, but...
Thank you. Truly, I would like to be a part of your life if you'll let me. And in any capacity, I won't push anything. You have my word.
He didn't believe that for 1 minute. Uncle All Might had a certain ring to it, didn't it? So cute.
Sure, I guess.
Tomra floundered a little awkwardly. His feet weren't touching the ground, were they? Sniggering, he gave Dabi's shoulders a gentle squeeze before rounding the table and puffing at the powerhouse, his smile pleased and doting as he waved at him.
Okay, bring it up, you two.
He chuckled whilst gesturing that the teen be put down.
He's gonna get vertigo up there if we're not careful.
He warned, his words causing Toshinori to blink and buzz.
Sorry, Tombergood.
He apologized whilst gently placing his sneaker-clad feet onto the red glittery linoleum, his expression sheepish, whilst Shouta reached out to the teen who, a little shaky, just as he suspected, gratefully entered his embrace. Damn. All things considered, that couldn't have gone better, could it?
Would you two like to stay for a drink or two?
He offered the bros, both just as emotionally drained and exhausted as they were.
The study group will be coming by soon.
He furthered.
Mitsuki should be stopping by later with Inko, too.
He added,
I, for one, would certainly appreciate that, Shouta.
Mirai voiced one of the napkins he'd offered them all, still dabbing at his eyes.
It has been quite a day, hasn't it?
You're telling me. Dabi upped his hands, trying to soothe Gigi as the cat continued to fidget, those milky jade eyes locked on it, his primary caregiver, whilst he touched his nose and grumbled at being ignored. How the hell do you guys do shit like this all of the time? He asked, his tone incredulous.
It can be trying.
All Might admitted, his own form so much lighter, although his smile remained smaller, softer, and truly, genuinely pleased.
However, moments like this, they make the load a little easier to carry,
he said, his blue eyes lacking with the turquoise ones regarding him.
And if it's not too forward for me to say, thank you, Tombergood, for taking such good care of Tombergood.
He offered with a proper formal bow.
It fills me with more joy that you can know to see him here with you and Shouta-kun. The bonds he's made with you and with Itoshi-kun and our other young friends too, he could not be in better company.
He enthused the flame quirk user, blushing a little at the praise.
I could not be more grateful at. If I may, I humbly ask if you'll allow me to entreat upon your life, if only a little, too.
At 15:35, he could hear them loudly questioning where everyone was and if everything was going okay on approach. He'd texted their parents to let them know that the Noronaka was closed to the general public until tomorrow morning. However, the kids were still welcome and would be fed as usual.
The dots were inbound.
All Might, the joy he was famous for, fully returned, his energy boisterous, his hugging abundant, had greeted them, their little faces ecstatic as they brushed him and laughed uproariously as he balanced them on his arms, ruffled their hair, and allowed them to drag him to the study area. Tomra, Dabi, and Mirai, whom they noticed as they clambered onto their usual seats and giggled at, had returned to the cat enclosure after they'd all indulged in lemonade and BLTs, where the future seer had lain upon the floor, his glasses pocketed, his eyes closed, with hime spread across his chest. Hiro and Hotaru, however, decided to give his hair a new look, their ebony bodies bouncing, bawing, and playing with the strands as he continued to lie there without a care in the world. Tomer and Dabi, both more relaxed than they had been all week, were similarly slumped on the beanbags inside their feline family member's home, their hands offering waves at the tots from where they'd curled into each other under the watchful gaze and purring forms of Hahue, Homra, and Gigi. The other kittens were quite content to walk, jump, and bounce all over their legs, whilst tiny teeth and claws made yet another play for fraying shoelaces. Sighing pleasantly, his hands carrying a tray loaded with glasses and a full pitcher of lemonade, Shouta made his way to all of them, his diligent gaze watching as they dutifully got their schoolwork out because for them, this was just another day to complete and show off to the number one.
You see this excellent sticker? Well, I've been getting so many of these, thanks to Kajo, Deku, and Otaka-san, helping me and Shoni explaining what I need to do in ways that I understand.
Ijiro stated, his hands moving around the brightly colored circle next to his 19 out of 20 math work with a proud flourish.
Oh, and me!
Denki called, his science book waving at the chuckling pro.
Seitan is super great at biology, and I'm pretty sure Shoni puts smart juice in all the drinks he gives me too.
He praised.
That Doshi-kun is always helping me to improve, even when my dance moments make his head hurt.
Watching as the iris-haired child laugh snorted, while Tsuyu lit up one of her beyond adorable kittles. He started to pour the drinks before giving the happy-go-lucky blonde's hair an affectionate ruffle.
You're all doing exceptionally well,
he praised.
So much so, in fact, that I wanted to speak to you and your guardians about taking our self-defense lessons further.
He told them, their eyes turning to him in wonderment.
How would you all like to learn jujutsu,
Shoni! That's so freaking badly! The ebony-air boy crowed, his hands raised for a set of high-fives that Katsuki and Denki created with him. Do you really think that we get that? That we're, good enough? Ochako asked a little starry-eyed.
Of course.
He smiled, his legs walking him towards her so that he could crouch down to her eye level.
You've all proven that you're dedicated to your schoolwork and the classes we've been doing,
he reminded.
That, and I believe that you all have the potential to reach some of the more difficult belts before the end of junior high,
he furthered.
But that'd mean that we'd have accredited skills in hero-approved martial arts.
Izuku breathed, his little hands curling into fists.
And that'd mean that you all have some pretty big ticks for any hero courses you wanted to try for.
He finished for him, his dark eyes meeting the hopeful emerald ones locked on his in wonder.
I figured if this is what you want, if this dream of yours to start an agency together is going to get off the ground, then I, as Team Dad,
he stated, all of them snickering while Skansky nodded,
I'd better start getting you prepared for such a thing properly, hadn't I?
He grinned, the seven of them cheering.
Wow! Does that mean we get to call you Shu-sensei? That's so freaking cool,
Denki whooped before with a blink. His mirth abruptly died, his eyes narrowing as he pointed at him.
Show me! Your neck!
Oh, fuck! Calming the kids down. And no, he was not acknowledging Dobby mouthing, I told you so, he had bigger fish to fry. Had been made all the easier thanks to All Might, the blonde soothing them by rubbing their backs until...
Oh! You're hurt too! What are those angry red lines all over you?
I'm like...
Oh, this?
God, fucking damn everything.
Okay.
He called over the din, Hitoshi clinging to his chest, Izuku and Katsuki attached to either leg.
Let's all go and sit in the gaming area, okay?
He managed, his legs somehow moving, but the boys still fixed in place. Shit, he'd sleep tonight, wouldn't he? He'd have to set 3 alarms just in case. He couldn't remember the last time he'd been this exhausted, thank God for he'd listened to Denki, who was becoming more and more with each passing day the true voice of reason in their house.
Shouta, you are not opening the cafe on Thursday, for fuck's sake. You're going to face off with the ultimate douchebag, and if you weren't doing it for Tomer, for us, you wouldn't be going at all, you crazy, stupid, self-sacrificing nuts, okay?
Such a good kid. They all were. And now he gone and upset them. Then all of them somehow sat. Ochako, Tsuyu, Ijiro, and Denki were bundled up with Toshinori, whilst he held Hitoshi, Katsuki, and Izuku clung to him. On the soft flooring together, he started handing out napkins.
Okay,
He said, all of them gazing at him.
now, I don't want you to worry, and I don't want you to feel as though I kept this from you for any other reason than to save you from that worry.
He urged.
But we
He tried to grin as All Might let out a broken chuckle.
have had quite a morning. I want to share this with you for 2 reasons. The first, I need you to know that despite appearances, we are physically alright.
He stated.
The second, this kind of thing goes hand in hand with being a hero. This is what you'll come to see and know when you're older.
He left out the scarier details, of course, and keeping his descriptions short and his tone light, he saw the children slowly take everything in, some of them sniffling and others frowning. And the bad man who wanted to hurt you guys in Tomuni, he's gone now, right? The little brunette asked pensively, her hands clasped together over her chest.
That's right, sweetheart.
He nodded, hands still rubbing at Katsuki and Izuku's arms, whilst Hitoshi regarded him carefully.
And he's the one who did that.
He asked, his violet irises sharpening. Ah! I wish he was here right now so that we could get a punch or two in! The explosive blonde of his scowl. Furious! He'd agreed beforehand with Mitsuki that he'd allowed her to speak to him about her involvement later. He just knew that it'd bring the pair closer together, their relationship having grown so much closer as of late.
Well, if it makes any difference.
He grinned, a little snicker leaving him.
All Might here used his most famous super move on the guy.
He praised, the tats gasping, their heads snapping to the sheepish blonde in awe.
And I like to think it was because he didn't like him hurting my neck either. I was admittedly very, very furious with him for touching you.
The bronzed man agreed before just like that. The thanks were all over him. The questions mixed in with words of thanks and praise for protecting Shoni and saving Captain. So cute. Hitoshi, however, hadn't budged from his lap, his lips wobbly.
You're sure you're okay?
Taking a moment to wipe the tears from his ward's face, he embraced him closely, the child's face pressed into the bandana Dabby had gifted him.
There were times when I was a little worried that I wouldn't be,
he told him honestly.
But then I thought of you, your big brothers, our friends here, and your mom, and I found the strength to be okay.
He breathed, his fingers gently stroking the child's neck nape to soothe him.
So, in a way, all of you helped to keep me safe, too, you know,
he offered quietly.
And I'm sorry that I didn't tell you at the time, Toshi. I just didn't want you to lose any more sleep or be concerned, alright?
He pushed.
If I hadn't felt that I could truly help, if it wasn't for wanting to keep all of you safe, I wouldn't have gone either, okay? Okay.
The top breathed, those small arms coiled around his neck tightly.
I love you, Shoni,
the 7-year-old whispered.
And I'm so glad you're okay.
Todoroki Enji had thought he was furious simply because he'd learned of the plan to capture All for One, the greatest villain their country had ever known, whilst the mission itself was running.
Who the hell is CD?
However, as he sat within the Hero Association's main boardroom as a simpering beta male who couldn't be a hero if all of their lives depended on it, went through what had occurred between 8 and 9:30 that deceptively quiet morning, the number one suspiciously absent, he'd felt his ire building.
That is classified information, Endeavor.
Sneering, his impressive form sat with numbers 3 through 5, leading down from him at the long rectangular table as it should be. He allowed his beard flames to flutter menacingly, his turquoise eyes narrowed imperiously at the pathetic little man, whilst a few of the other bros grumbled with him, and the police force peanut gallery murmured, their hands tapping away at laptops and tablets.
Says who?
He challenged gruffly.
Isn't it bad enough that I was cast to the sidelines?
He groused.
Isn't it insulting enough to consider me as an afterthought, whilst people who I don't know, some child from a second-rate school alongside some washed-up, virtually retired pros, and teachers were summoned for this," he growled. "You've all been extremely lucky that this farce didn't blow up in your faces," he added imperiously. "Who put this scheme together, huh? Who gave it the go-ahead? With respect, another son?"
A dog-headed man gutted. Since when did a lowly lieutenant who headed a bunch of hero wannabes too weak to make the grade get to interrupt him? Ridiculous.
"This highly coordinated plan was formed over the 3 days we had at the time," he stated firmly. "All of the key players were chosen for very specific attributes, abilities, and skill sets."
He furthered, those dark eyes meeting his in a way he really didn't like.
"If excessive firepower had been needed, we would have called you." "Huh!"
He chuffed, his right fist smacking up on the table, the force trembling the water glasses and causing the other pros to snag their bottles and tablets to save them from ruin.
"If, you say, if this is Shigaraki we're talking about," he snarled. "What if you bungling idiots had missed your chance? What if that medical lover hadn't been able to land the final blow? But he was, and he did."
The man, Tsugarame, mongrel bastard, retorted plainly, his features completely neutral.
"With further respect, we've asked all of you here today to pass on the good news, run through the mission, and keep you in the loop,"
he carried on before looking to the room at large. Gran Torino sagely sat with a cup of steaming matcha, snickered at him from across the table, whilst Best Genus, why the number 5 hero had been picked over him he never know, pointedly ignored his glares in favor of reading the documents they'd been given. He'd been there, goddammit!
"Whereas it's true that today's success is something to be celebrated. We must stay vigilant," the lieutenant warned, his tone brokering no argument as the men in black suits continued to type at their laptops. The police force officers did the same, and the heroes listened attentively. What a crock of shit. What a complete waste of his time. "With Shigaraki's removal from the criminal underground comes more challenges and persons of interest. Many will see his imprisonment as their chance to rise to power, and sadly, as you'll see on page 13 of your documents, there are still many known associates of his at large."
Grumbling to himself, Enji stacked the paper. What was this, amateur hour? So what if paper was easy to destroy and files could be hacked? They deserved something better than a flimsy staple pamphlet he was supposed to shred. He'd be keeping it regardless, and flipped the pages in a show of cooperation. However, he instead focused on the manuscripts near the beginning, his ears turning out the drivel that any half-solved mutt worth their salt should already know about whilst he read. CD? CD? Who the hell was this person? There was no references to this guy, girl, other, across any mission briefs he'd read over the past 5 years that he could think of. Was this person a quirk specialist? A foreigner? Someone from special forces or the military? As he read, he saw those 2 taunting capital letters show up time and time again. This person had been essential to the initial planning, had provided classified information from an unknown source. Hell, they'd held Shigaraki's attention long enough for the great lummox to knock him out cold, a feat none of them had previously thought possible. He didn't like the idea of having more competition for the top spot. However, as he continued reading, there was one striking correlation, which meant the team might not have to just sit back and wonder. AM must be All Might, he mused, the gloved finger stroking at his chin. Whoever this CD is, they're known to you, aren't they? You always have had all your fingers in all of the pies, haven't you? He thought, his frown deepening. It's been quite a while since you and I had a little chat, hasn't it, Yagi-senpai? Yes, I believe that meeting has been quite overdue.